But again, it's just a learning process. I'm learning today. So this video might be a little bit different from my average video. It might be just the same, who knows. I am at a Civil War camp that me and my friend Jim were detecting here a few days ago. And in this area right here, where it looks like a bunch of little bombs went off, is where I found a couple bullets and a silver coin. Now, everything in this field is very deep because this is a camp that has been detected by a lot of people over a lot of years. I was actually the first one in here though. That was like 30, 40 years ago. Man, it was loaded back then. But anyway, what I want to do is, everything's deep. I was using the stock coil last time I was here. The stock Garrett coil, and I'll show it to you. So I wanted to try to use a different, bigger coil, which is a non-stock coil made by a different company. And I've used it before. It was good, but I just kind of put it on the shelf. That thing's probably like 5 or 6 years old now. I'm not even sure. But boy, I tell you, it's amazing. I dug every signal that I got here. See all the holes. Now, a lot of them are iron, but when I was using the stock coil, I mean, everything sounded deep like iron. I mean, nothing gave me a good squeak. Well, it was an all metal too anyway. But anyway, what I want to do is I'm going to go around and show you each hole and what I found. And if you look, you can see the holes I dug today. And these are some of the old holes from a couple days ago, and they go up into there even. But I just concentrated in this area that I concentrated hard in the other day. I actually found more stuff. Before I forget, this is the coil I'm using. It's a detector. Well, I'll put a link to it in a pinned comment. Now, detector did not give me that coil. That was given to me by my sponsors over at metaldetector.com. And that's whose link I'm going to give you. And if you buy from them, they do donate to my channel. I just want to make sure that's out in the open. Anyway, so let me show you what we have here. And so far, I'm really impressed. All right, I'm just going to take the pinpoint. I actually put everything on the surface anyway already, except for one target. This nice deep hole, and is a buckshot from a Civil War buck and ball. Absolutely 100% walked over this the other day. That's the first target. Let's go see what else we have. Okay, this was a nail, okay? Now, if I had heard this the other day, I would have dug it. It wasn't quite as deep, but the signals in this field are terrible sounding once I get down to about 3 or 4 inches. And I'm going to show you why these are great big holes, and I got separate piles set around. Now, this is the biggest target that I found, okay? This is a piece of melted lead, camp lead from the Civil War. Not quite bullet size, but it's the biggest target that I found, and non-ferrous target. And it was at the bottom of that hole. So far, man, so good, huh? Over here, well, this was a nail down quite deep. And again, I'm just digging anything that sounds deep. I don't care what the discriminator is telling me. Another pretty deep hole. Oh yeah, another buck and ball. Look at this. I would 100% have dug that the other day if I had heard it. Another buck and ball. Look at that. Same deal. If I had heard that the other day, and again, this is a little area, and I hunted it pretty hard because I'd found that silver coin, and I was hoping to find some more silver coins. So I dug it pretty much every target that didn't sound like it was right on the surface. All right, a couple more holes. Nail, not quite as deep, but again, I would have dug that. Now this one I actually haven't seen yet, I don't think. We're gonna have to find this one together, so hold on. And again, I'm gonna show you why these holes are so big in a minute. That's a technique I'm using today. I think it was in here, maybe. No, maybe not. Whee! All right, now get the machine to find it, but it's out of the hole. Probably one of those clumps. Oh, it's a little piece of lead, brass over there too, but it's very, very small. But it's another target I haven't got out of the clump yet. Okay, so anyway, that's part of the video. I wasn't even going to make one today, but I'm just really I've learned something new. It's not always so important that you get more depth. Sometimes it's the discrimination that's more important. But in this field now, the depth apparently is more important. All right, let me go find those other targets, and I'll set up the camera and show you a few more things. Okay, now this is going to be a little bit more noisy because, well, let me show you. I'm hunting with a Garrett AT Max today. All metal, okay? Iron audio on, maximum sensitivity. I got 2 bars on the battery, so that's okay. If it drops to 1, we'll change out. This will be noisier than normal because it's an all metal, but I like to ground balance, and I'm finding that, oh yeah, I'll teach you this. This is called area ground balancing. Now, a lot of people, and I always did this too, just straight up and down to balance the machine and the coil to the ground. But a guy out in Arizona, my buddy Bill Southern, taught me that do this, you know, kind of go around, it samples the area, and that does a lot better job. And he's right, it absolutely does. Okay, this target, tiny little thing. Oh, you know, I bet this is going to be a percussion cap. Okay, you see it jumping around like crazy. I don't think it's going to be iron. I bet you that's what I had. It was a little. There it is. That's that little piece of brass I was telling you about. Not sure what it is, but it looks like it could be an old percussion cap or a sliver off of a modern jacketed bullet. But I'm thinking percussion cap on that one. All right, put that in the bag. And there was one other one that was still in the clump. You see anything on top? Whee. All right, this is probably the one that was still in the clump, so let me set you up. Okay, what I'll do is just take the clump, go over the loop, break it in half, go over the loop. You know it's not in there because it didn't sound off. Not in there, it didn't sound off. Just keep doing that and make it smaller and smaller, and try not to drop any of the dirt, which I already did. There it is. Okay, so that's just a little piece of iron. All right, that kind of sounded like it gave me like a half of a squeak, so I thought it might be good. That's why I left it in the clump, but that's just a little tiny piece of wire. All right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start moving out of this area just a little bit. Try to find, I think down in the hill down there, I found a couple bullets, so we'll work our way down there. I didn't detect as hard down there as I did right in this spot. And I'll set you up, show you a couple targets and how I'm using this coil and why these holes are so big and the dirt spread out. Kind of important, really. It's amazing what a little bit of physical exertion will do as far as warming you up. Digging the holes, I got hot, I had to take my jacket off. Anyway, right up in there is where I was just did the last video scene where I dug all those holes, and I'm kind of moving down the hill. So I did find stuff down in this direction too, but didn't hit it as hard last time. Now, there's a couple holes up there that I missed checking with you guys. I think 3, but they just had little nails in them, so not a big deal. You know what I'm going to do? I got a couple targets just marked here. I think what I'm going to do for you guys, and you let me know something. I know I'm guilty a lot. I try to show you what I'm doing and what the signals sound like some. And I just think that everybody knows everything there is about metal detecting, but probably a lot of you guys out there haven't done this quite as much as I have. And if you want me to show you more about what the targets sound like, what I'm listening for, why I'm listening for it, why I dig big holes like I did up there, which I am going to describe that to you in just a minute. Let me know in the video comments if you want me to do more of that. I just don't want to bore you guys, because I know some of you have short attention spans and they just want to see shinies. All right, so what I'm going to do, let me take off my headphones so you guys can hear, and I won't drive anybody crazy because I'm by myself today. And I'll show you what I'm doing, okay? Again, I am in all metal mode, so we're going to hear a lot of ground chatter. Ground here is really bad. There's a lot of clay, so you're going to hear lots of signals as we're moving along, just like bouncing and stuff, okay? But I'm listening for solid noises that you hear every time you go back and forth. Now, something very important in this field, and probably a lot of fields with clay, is you need to ground balance a lot, okay? So like every 15-20 feet I'm ground balancing like this, and that will quiet the machine down. Now, what happens if you don't do that? I'm getting up the power lines over there also mess with these. What happens if you don't ground balance enough? Well, one or two things. Either the machine will get really noisy because the ground gets hotter and hotter and hotter, so you get a lot of bounces and weird stuff. And this is even in normal mode. You don't have to be in all metal. Or the machine will get really quiet if the ground goes the other direction, and you just won't hear signals. So I always recommend that you ground balance at least a fair amount. And I might not be I'm a mess, aren't I? I think I need to tighten that up too a little bit. All right, so let's go over these signals real quick, and I'll show you why I'm going to tell you why we're going to dig them. I think one's a deep bullet, and the other one might be a buck and ball, could be a piece of iron. Okay, so again, let's just go ahead and start again. I'm going to go ahead and ground balance it one more time, because I do this a lot in this field, and it seems to help a lot. You hear those kind of like wispy noises that sometimes you get, sometimes you don't. That's probably just the ground. It's the clay. Sometimes it's your boot. But anyway, I got this little scuff mark right there, and I think that's a deep bullet. I want you to listen to it. Okay, that's actually a pretty solid signal, okay? I can tell by going over it. And that deep thump thump noise. It's a pretty good sized target. It's not like something small on the surface. Not really reading on the meter good, like 0, 3, 0, 4. So it's too deep for the metal detector to know what it is. Now there's another signal over here that's very scratchy. It's kind of like bouncy. You'll hear it above those stubbles. Hear it? Now that's not as deep, throaty signal, a deep, you know, sound. It's just sharper edges, kind of. Well, it's a sharper signal. So I know that is something smaller and not as deep. I'll run it over again, but probably going to hit the camera there. Anyway, I know it's right in here, and I'm going to dig a good size hole, because this is a new coil. Let me explain this to you. I'm using a piece of equipment here, that coil that I've never really used much, so I need to know what it's telling me. Because if I get a bunch of these signals and I dig them and they're, you know, just iron, I'll know later on, don't worry about those signals. Same way with the other one over there. So, you know, I'm digging everything, and I'm digging a bigger hole. I don't even know what I'm going to say anymore. Let me just set you down. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a good sized hole, because that's what I was going to do, because I need to learn what this thing's telling me. I think it's going to be right here, but with a bigger coil, never really used it. Maybe it's over here. I don't know exactly where the signals are going to show up. So that's why I tell it was a big hole. So I'm going to take a bigger hole, not too deep. Set one pile there, one pile next to it, and one pile over here, okay? And then we'll clean out the hole, make sure there's it's not in the loose dirt. And then I'll check it again, okay? Let me check it again. I'm gonna pick you up. This is gonna tell me how deep it is, and the depth gauge on these things, they work, but only to a certain extent. So we're gonna go back over the hole. That's still in a hole, see? So we know that it's deeper. I'll move that to the side. Now what I'm gonna do, still not reading on the meter. See, 0, 0, up. It just jumped up a little bit now. So we get mostly zeros though, so still not sure. But what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna dig down, take about 6 or 8 inches out and put it to the side. Take another layer off, another 4 or 5 inches. And I'm gonna put it over here in another separate pile, okay? All right, so that's another 4 or 5 inches, separate pile. But I don't really think it's gonna be in that one, you know what? I think it's gonna be deeper. So we're gonna take another layer off, but we're gonna put it in another pile. I think it's gonna be right in this stuff here. I'm hitting a big clay ball. I'll show it to you in a minute. This way I'll know how deep to dig, you know, what those signals sound like and how deep they really are. Yeah, this is down on the clay, isn't it? All right, so we've got another pile here. Clean out the dirt. Okay, always clean out that loose dirt, because what happens, I hear this a lot, okay, is you'll have people, I have people telling me, well, it's probably going to be an educational video mostly. If you don't clean out the dirt, or if you're a little bit off center in the hole, like say the signal's here, and you think it's in the middle like I do, and you keep digging, 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 eventually what happens is you have a really, really deep hole, and at some point you'll knock it out of the sidewall. It'll tumble down 1.5 feet to the bottom of the hole, and you'll think that it was just a super, really, really deep relic. Like I'll have people telling me that, you know, they were using some machine and they found a bullet down, you know, 2.5 feet. Well, me knowing that machine, that ain't gonna happen. But what happens is, like I said, it's in that sidewall, and if you're not pinpointing properly, it can tumble into the bottom of the hole. So always be cognizant of that. Might not be that it's super deep, it's just that you need to make the hole wider. Okay, as you can see, the soil's a lot different here. That's really heavy, hard clay. That is very, very hard on these VLF type machines, which is most machines. But let's go ahead and go over this pile first. That's a shallow pile. Put in that. The pile I think it's going to be in. Nope. All right, so back over the hole. Oh, it's not that clay. It's possible, I guess, because when you ground balance a machine on the surface, of course, you're ground balancing it to this type of soil, and that clay is going to absolutely sound different. But let's check it with a pinpointer. That could be the ground, so we're going to ground balance the pinpointer, put it in the clay just to the side, turn it on. See, that was probably the clay. All right, so let's just go ahead and dig this out a little bit more. We'll dig a little bit to the side. All right, let's see what we got. I'll check with the pinpointer. I don't have to stand up. Maybe it's the ground. All right, here's what I'm going to do. Just so this video doesn't turn into an hour of digging one target, let me dig it out, and I'll tell you whatever happened, good or bad, I'll let you know. Okay, good or bad, I got all the dirt out of the hole that was in that loose dirt, so the pinpoint was telling the truth. And it's over there. So let's see what it is. The machine's not really sure, but I suspect, well, we'll find out. Well, it could be something that's still on the ground even. I guess I should have checked. What we have is a piece of lead, and it's probably a fired modern bullet, like a 22 or something. Now, it was not in the bottom of the hole. It's kind of like the whole story I was telling you about. It wasn't there. It was here. It's probably down about this deep. So, had pretty good depth to it, and it is a chunk of lead. No, it is a bullet, just like I thought it would be, but it's on a mini ball. All right, lesson one. We'll do another one, and then that might be it for the day. You know, I'll just start digging stuff, man. I gotta find at least one bullet. What I probably should have done is waited until I figured this loop out and this field out before I started the video. Because we're learning together. You can see, you know, I'm still learning every day. All right, ground balance. Go ahead and ground balance it again. Okay, and this is that target that was kind of jumpy. Very sharp edges, so I know it's not too deep, but we'll go ahead and just dig this together. I'll just hold you. Because that's not going to be too deep, I don't think. Should be right there. And that stop, boy. All right. Yeah, so it's in here. Now, I'm not even going to look at the meter at this point because I want to see what it is anyway. All right, so you see what I did? I took the deep stuff first, so I know how deep it was. And so what we're hearing was actually just under the surface, just below the kick zone. So I just learned something about the machine, about the sounds. All right. It is right in here. That nail right there, okay. That was just a little nail. We heard that, it was kind of like skipping and wasn't reading particularly good. But the buck and balls kind of do the same thing, but that was just a little square nail. Probably from the Civil War camp. So it's a relic of the Civil War. But again, it's just a learning process. I'm learning today.
She'll shake the coins from your pocket, take your gold chain and your locket. Mother Earth has no sympathy. She'll take the ring from your hand and bury it in the sand and keep it for eternity. Mother Earth, she's got her secrets. She